Hello everyone, my name is Malik and I am the representative of Osaka Gameseed, and I'm here to pitch you our game called A Match Made in Dungeon. To put it simply, you match sets of cards, defeat enemies, build your deck, and repeat. This is what you're going to do most of the times in our game. Our game is a roguelike deck building game where you match sets of cards to trigger certain effects to aid you in defeating the various enemies in a semi-real-time combat system. And then you can get new cards to add to your deck so that you can build the deck that fits your playstyle the most to deal with the enemies in the dungeon. Okay, let's continue to the core loop of our game. Firstly, you need to match the cards in the grid to defeat the enemy that you are facing, as seen here on the video to the left. The player has matched multiple sets of cards, and the video on the right, you can see that the player has successfully defeated the enemy. After the victory, you will be given 3 new cards to pick from, which then you can insert to your current deck to build an even stronger deck, as seen on the video below. And after that, you just rinse and repeat until you defeat the last boss and complete the dungeon. Now, we have 4 key features in the game, one of which is card matching. In the game, your deck's cards are arranged randomly on a 5x5 grid. You, as a player, need to flip them over and match the correct matching sets of cards to activate their effect. As seen in the video, where they match a pair of sword cards, shield cards, fire cards, and special card, which has a gold tint to it. The game itself has 2 different types of cards. There are a normal card and a special card. For the normal card, the player needs to match 2 cards, while the special card, the player needs to match 3 cards. Now we talk about timing. In the game, the enemy itself has an intent bar above the card grid, which moves at a steady pace depending on the enemy. On the right of the bar shows what action the enemy will do. The player can time their match to counter the enemy's intent, as shown here, where the player has timed their shield cards to counter the enemy's attack. Next is onto our deck building. There are 3 different categories of cards in the game. Attack cards that deals damage towards the enemy, support cards that either buffs, heals, or protect the player, and control cards that gives debuffs towards the enemy's intent bar. The player is able to build their decks according to their preferred playstyle. And lastly, each dungeon offers different kinds of enemies, and there's also a boss waiting at the end of each dungeon. The enemies themselves has various different attacks, be it damaging the player, giving itself a buff, or disrupt the player's grid. And the boss themselves have a add-on attack, which is their special effects like the special cards for the player. Now for the inspiration. Our game takes inspiration from many other games. The most prominent is Purple Place, which inspired the main combat mechanic, which is a match cards to win, essentially. And then Slide Spire majorly inspires us on the design and stylistic choice, while Balatro inspired us on how the visual game would feel. Now, to the market comparison. To our knowledge, these are the games that we think are similar to ours. First off is Lucky Hunter, which sold for $5.99 while having the revenue of $112.3 thousand. And then there's Dungeon Crawler, which is sold for $9.99 while having the revenue of $2.2 million. And then there's Alina of the Arena, which is sold for $14.99 while having the revenue of $1.4 million. We ourselves estimate that development time for our game will take 2 years, which we are currently in pre-production, and for our estimated release year is 2027. And then, for our estimated budget is around $22,000. How do we get this number? We calculated this based on the minimum wage in our region. And then for the summary, we reached the end. Our game, A Match Within Dungeon, which is a roguelike deck building and tile matching game for single players, which will release on PC and targeting players who love roguelike deck building games and players who played Purple Plays in the past, will be priced at $6.99. Maybe this is it for my presentation. Thank you so much for your kind attention, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.